If you feel like your brain will not shut up about food, you're obsessed, borderline obsessed, you're thinking about it all day, it is taking up way too much space, then welcome. That is what the GLP-1 industry is now calling food noise. I actually think it's a brilliant term for something that I used to struggle with, because it aptly explains the constancy of the volume of the non-stop thinking about food and how to eat and what to eat and when to eat, and the endless thoughts about food that I used to be plagued with. And if I had that term, it would have resonated with me. And I'm here today to help you understand, if this is something you struggle with, what it is, what causes it, and most importantly, how the hell do we get to dial it right down, if not silence it completely, with or without the use of a GLP-1 weight loss medication. My name's Helen. I'm a food freedom coach. I am honored to be here on this Freedom Friday, the last Friday of the month. That is when I go live on YouTube. If you're joining me for the first time, lovely to see we've got a few viewers today. Please feel free to join me in the chat. Pop your comments in the chat. If you have any questions as I go along, I'd happily try and answer them as best as I can in the time that we have. And we're going to dive into it. So I want to help you today. I'm going to give you practical tools so that you can learn to become somebody who can eat when you're hungry, stop when you're full, and not be thinking about it all day in between. So let's start with a simple distinction between what is food noise and what it isn't. So food noise is not a food thought. Food noise is loud, it's insistent, it's usually fear-based and anxiety-based. That is not what we were born to experience, and it's what we don't want you to be experiencing anymore. Food thoughts, on the other hand, are completely normal. Food thoughts are relatively easeful. They don't carry an energy of panic, usually. Sometimes if you're a bit hungry, they might, but mostly they don't. A food thought might be, what am I going to have for dinner tonight? Or, oh, I'm hungry. Well, I'll probably eat something later. Food noise is endless conversation about it. Have I gone over my calorie target, etc., 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 and it doesn't stop. And I know that I used to wake up first thing in the morning, I'd be thinking about food, worrying about food, obsessing about food. I used to wake up in the night, worrying about food, obsessing about food, thinking about food, what I'd eaten, what I was going to eat. It was endless. So food noise is not the same as food thoughts, and it's not the same as hunger, contrary to the opinions of some people. If somebody says food noise isn't real, you and I both know they have clearly not struggled with it. And I can understand, because it's kind of like somebody who's never experienced depression, not understanding what depression is because they've never felt it. Sad thoughts are normal. Sad feelings are normal. Feeling sad consistently and all day and feeling like you can't come out of it to the point at which you feel depressed, that is something we want to help you with. So food thoughts coming off hunger, totally normal. Food noise is coming from something else. What is it coming from? You know what? There's a few different causes. Let me be honest. There's probably a few things that can dial food noise up. But I'm going to address the biggest cause. And by extension, I'm going to help you dial it down by giving you a skill to stop that problem. So the biggest cause that I see of food noise, of the obsession, of the constant chatter about food, it's very simple. It's actually so simple, it's going to feel a bit obvious. And it's this: scarcity. Scarcity, my friends. Limitation, restriction, diets, obviously, the perfect example of that. So why? Why the hell does scarcity around food create so much drama in our heads? Why do we just start thinking about it nonstop? Well, there's a survival reason for that. It makes sense that we would. If there's a limitation from a survival perspective, we got to be hyper-focused on getting food in. We need food to survive, contrary to what most of the people that I work with would like. You know, this is why we can go cold turkey on things like alcohol or cigarettes, etc. But food, this is a lot more nuanced because we need food to survive. We have to create a different relationship with it, and what I would say is a free relationship with it. So we are wired to think about food more if it is in limitation. And here's the problem, my lovelies, is that I bet if you're watching this, then you have experienced, or you have done, if not just one, probably multiple diets. And there's no bigger and more obvious restriction, is there, than going on a diet. It is literally saying to your body, you can't have as much of this as you would like. And we're going to limit that very deliberately, often to the point where the body's actually in a dangerous place. So many diets They're trying to force the body to lose weight too fast, which means the body goes into a kind of panic, and then it's going to double down on that food noise. It's going to dial it right up. Now, many of you will say, well, hold on, Helen, the first diet I did, it didn't happen to me. No, but then your body got wise, and eventually it won, because what do they say? For every diet, there is an equal and opposite binge. Maybe another way to frame that is, every time we think in scarcity terms, limitation terms, even if they're gentle, even if it's just, I shouldn't eat the white bread, I should have brown bread. The body's picked that up. Limitation, scarcity, wants you to eat it more. So maybe for every little scarcity thought, there's a kind of equal and opposite desire, at the very least, for more, or for having the very thing you thought you shouldn't eat. So scarcity drives desire through the roof. It's meant to. Scarcity of the things we need for survival. And in fact, interestingly, if anybody's struggling with sleep, limiting, if somebody's got insomnia as an example, one of the ways they help people break years of insomnia is by deliberately creating scarcity around sleep. So somebody struggling with insomnia, they might say, please don't try this at home, by the way, but maybe they'll say to somebody, right, you can only sleep for 3 hours tonight between this and this window. And just that artificial scarcity immediately creates a body desire for more. Isn't that fascinating? I mean, great, that's what we're designed for. The problem is when we started dieting, we got into all sorts of trouble, because not only did we create scarcity, we created moralization, guilt, good and bad around certain fields, success or failure, foods, success or failure. So now that food noise is even more. It's not just, oh, I want this because I thought I couldn't have it, or it's not available to me. It suddenly becomes, oh, and I'm a bad person if I eat it. And then the whirlwind of headworms and food thoughts can get even bigger, because now we become obsessed with the idea of getting it right, which means we're thinking about it even more. Another thing to share before we move on into the solution here is think of marketing. In fact, end of the month, you probably will go to the supermarkets right now and you'll see a bunch of deals. Marketers use manufactured scarcity brilliantly. And why do they do it? To get you to buy, to get you to desire the thing more, whether you need it or not, and then to take the action of buying. So if marketers are using scarcity, limited time, limited offer, limited quantity, if they're using scarcity to get you to take action, it's the same thing with limiting food in any way, even with good intent. Even when we say, but this food is more healthy than that food, even if that would be true, just by limiting what we think we should or shouldn't eat, we're driving more compulsion for it, and we're more likely to take the action of eating the thing. A perfect example of a time-based scarcity with food, diet starts Monday, or cheat days, Saturdays only. Limitation. So how do we solve the problem? Well, there's two skills. We actually need two. I'm going to talk mostly about the one today, but there's two skills, two practical, actionable things that you can do that will drive down the food noise to the point at which, over time, with lots of practice and building of trust around this, the food noise will be silent. You'll have food thoughts. You're not going to have food noise. And these are the two skills. The first one is a tummy check-in. Now, I have a video that goes deeply into this. If you would like to watch the masterclass that I offer, it's about an hour long. You can actually skip the masterclass, but sign up for it, because in the emails that follow, you'll get a bonus video with a tummy check-in training. But what a tummy check-in is the skill of tuning out of your mind and out of all the shoulds and diet culture and health culture and nutrient culture and all the rest, and into, what is it my tummy actually wants? Am I even hungry? And if I am hungry, what is it that my tummy would like? And that can be a huge, very scary step for many people who've not listened to their tummy for a very long time, because they were told by everybody that their tummies can't be trusted and their hunger can't be trusted. It can be. This is the work that we learn. And that might require a bit of a leap of faith for you. But if you were to practice tummy check-ins, you might be delightfully surprised. Because when we tune in and we check in with our body, is it hungry? And if it is, what would it like? And you hear a little whisper of something, and you're brave enough to honor that whisper, especially if it's something that was off the party list, what you will find is you will get a sense of satisfaction and peace. So practicing tummy check-ins is the core foundational way to show your body that you're listening again, step one. And then the second skill that we want to add to the tummy check-ins is the skill of radical mental permission. Radical permission. If scarcity drives desire, permission drives peace. Permission drives down desire and creates peace and calm and relaxation. And I have a feeling that some of you are thinking, but Helen, if I give myself permission to eat everything that I want, I will never stop eating. And I would say to you, you will. So let's play a little quick mental game. If weight gain wasn't possible, just roll with me on this one. If you couldn't possibly gain weight, and I put you in a room with all of the foods that you currently right now might feel a bit out of control around, obsessive around, scared to be around, we can call them trigger foods, we can call them bad foods, whatever you want. And I said, go wild, sister, eat as much as you want. You will not gain a stitch of weight. Wow, that first day, I bet you'd probably eat quite a bit. You'd probably be like, woohoo, fun, going crazy. Stay in that room another day. Stay in that room another day. Stay in that room another day. It wouldn't take long before you'd fed up a lot of those foods. You recognize a lot of those foods you probably didn't even like in the first place. You just wanted them because you thought you couldn't have them. You'd start to get very discerning, I'd imagine, about what you didn't want. And I bet pretty swiftly you'd be banging on the door saying, please let me out. I just want nothing to eat, or just give me a salad or something like that, right? So it's mentally makes sense that if you had unlimited access, so radical mental permission to everything that you could possibly want, that alone drives down the desire. Just knowing that it was always available, you could always have it if you really, really, really want it. So the skill of radical permission is tuning into your tummy. And when you hear your tummy whisper something to you that feels a bit scary and a bit off limits, I'll give you a perfect example of this. I remember so well tuning in and hearing toasted cheese sandwich. And everything in my little diet culture riddle brain said, toasted cheese sandwiches are bad and you will not eat those. So I thought, well, maybe I'll just have a salad with some cheese in it. That should be close enough. I ate the salad with whatever cheese, and I spent the rest of the afternoon wishing, I'm now full but unsatisfied, wishing I'd had the toasted cheese sandwich, and then I ate it anyway. And I think all of you have got that example in your mind of a time that exact thing has happened. So where was I going with that? I have no idea. I've lost my train of thought completely. But the point being that when we think we can't have something, we want it more, or we eat around the craving until we have it anyway. And initially, you probably, this is it. So you do a tummy check-in, you hear what your tummy wants, and then you do the brave thing of giving yourself radical permission that if you really want it, you can have it. So tune in. Is this what I really want? If the answer is yes, then be brave and see if you can have it. Now, we can't always have everything we want, that our tummy wants, but if it's around, if it's available, slow things down, take a breath, and see if you can allow it in. Now, the first few times you do this, it might feel a bit scary. It might feel a bit anxious. You might even overeat. That's okay. But if you do it enough and you constantly remind yourself that if you really want it, you can absolutely have it. If your tummy really wants it, it can absolutely have it. You will see the novelty of that food will wear right off. And what we find is there might be a little bit of a phase where you're a bit of a kid in a candy shop and you just kind of want it all now. But over time, in fact, very quickly, very often, you will notice that you will move further and further away from the foods that generally are unhealthy, ultra-processed. Maybe we would have called them bad in the past. We're no longer going to do that because even the word bad makes us think we can't have it. Let me just quickly read some of these comments. This one looked a goodie. Get me away from this chocolate. I just need some broccoli. Yeah, baby. Yeah, full but not satisfied. So important. So a good example of that. If you're trying to be on a diet and you're trying to keep your calories low, you might be like, I'm just going to eat celery all day. You'll be full, but you will not be satisfied. You'll actually probably be very uncomfortable and deeply unsatisfied. Similar to eating a big box of popcorn at the movies. The first bit's great, but after a while you're stuffed and you come out of the movies and you think, God, I still need a meal, but I'm stuffed. Same thing. So I love that comment because it's so true. Right. So tummy check-ins paired with the skill of mental radical permission. So this isn't just eat whatever you feel like all the time. This is eat what your tummy asked for. And if your tummy says chocolate cake or pizza or whatever wasn't on the party list and it feels a bit scary, you take a deep breath and you bravely see if you can honor that. And if you do, I bet you're going to feel your body go, oh, thank you, Jesus. And it will be so happy. But sometimes you'll lose control. Sometimes it's the trigger of eating that food will have you eat more. So this is brave, brave, brave work, lovely ones. And if you make a mistake, do your best to be kind and try again. Now, what I usually advocate, if this feels really scary for you, is start with the foods that feel a little bit easier. We don't have to rip off all the plasters overnight. Maybe just go with things that feel a little bit easier to move into. And over time, you can work towards the bigger ones. So like pizza, for example, was my like arch nemesis. It took me a long time to get the place where I could have a slice of pizza, or have even a bite and just be like, I'm done. But that took a lot of making mistakes, of trial and error, of losing control, and sometimes winning. It's work, lovelies. This is why this is an overnight quick fix. But what it does do is it solves the problem for good, for good. Because when there's no restriction, you end up realizing half the foods that you were scared around, you're no longer scared around. They don't have that hold over you. You no longer like them as much. And when you don't like something as much and you don't really want it anymore, it's so easy to say no. You don't have to use discipline. All right. Fabulous. All right. Let's see what else we got here. This is so true. It's scary to start. Allow yourself to lean into this, but it's defo works. Yeah. Radical permission. Lovely. And yeah, I knew who you were, Marcy. Marcy's in the food freedom course. She's a food freedom fighter. So is Mish. Lovely to have you ladies here. Absolutely wonderful. Food freedom family. Fabulous to have you joining us live. Speaking of which, lovelies, if you have any questions about the course, please go ahead and shoot them my way. Happy to answer them live on Freedom Friday. All right. So we've got the skill of tummy check-ins and the skill paired with the skill of radical permission. You can see how each of those skills on their own wouldn't necessarily solve the problem. The comments, I'm loving it. I'm being distracted. This is glorious. So yeah, it's a journey. Take it slowly. If you are watching this and you're interested in becoming a freedom fighter, joining Mission Marcy in the group, or working with me privately, maybe you don't want to be part of a bigger group, that's absolutely fine too. In the link in the description, there is a link to book a little call with me, and we can see if this is a good fit for you. We can talk about the program and take it from there. No pressure. Also, if you haven't watched the masterclass yet, I'd love you to watch it, not only because it's going to come with that tummy check-in video, but also because food noise is also driven by a few other things. Now, it's mostly driven by scarcity, restriction, dieting, etc. But sometimes food noise, that constant thinking about food, is coming up for you for different reasons. So the way I like to think about this is food noise is your friend. It's not your enemy. It's a little whisper saying, hey, there's something going on under the hood. Now, more often than not, you're just thinking in restrictive terms, and you'll get really good at catching those restrictive thoughts or scarcity thoughts and just getting rid of them and replacing them with, if I really want this, I can have it. Do I really want it? But every now and again, that little warning indicator, that food noise is saying, there's a need of yours that's not being met. You're exhausted. You deeply need some rest. Maybe you're lonely, really need a hug. Maybe you're feeling not seen and heard and you desperately need to scream, and none of that feels safe for you. Food noise actually becomes a bit of an indicator. And it's like, right, it's flashing. I'm thinking about food and I'm not hungry. What could be going on underneath? 9 times out of 10, you're thinking scarcity thoughts. The other times, it can be other things. But those other things, lovelies, can be quite deeply challenging. And that's where this work takes a bit longer, especially with the emotional work, especially if there's been some real trauma that's led to a compulsive relationship with food and compulsive thinking about food. So we want to get these skills dialed in first, because if we can wipe out nutritional scarcity or nutritional deficiencies and actually feed your body what it bloody wants in the quantities it wants it, then we have the best chance at using this food noise, these whispers and cravings, sometimes they're screams, to show us, oh, there's something that needs work. And this is where what I do with my clients and in the Freedom Fighters is we use this with curiosity and excitement to show us, oh, there's healing to be done. And the journey with food is an incredible one. And it's not fun to have to go through some of this, but as you move through it, it begins to show you things about yourself and takes you to deeper levels of healing that I'm still blown away by. So it's deeply exciting work. And if that thrills you and you want to learn all about it, please reach out and you can join the lovely Mission, Marcy, and the other Freedom Fighters. We'd love to have you. It is a small, dedicated group of men and women who are on this journey. They're very supportive. We're really careful about who we bring into the program because we want this to be a safe place for you to do this work. It's challenging. You're going to need support along the way. We'd love to be there for you. Other than that, lovelies, have a fantastic and wonderfully food-free weekend ahead. Big love to you all. If you have any questions for the next Freedom Friday, please pop them to me, shoot them to me, send me a pigeon if you need to, send me a fax. No, don't. And we will deal with that in the next Freedom Friday. So I'll see you at the end of July for the next one. Have a wonderful weekend, everybody. And remember, you are not broken. You were born to be free with food. And our work here is to help you get back there as fast and in as fun a way as humanly possible. So have a great weekend, everybody. See you soon. And thanks for everybody for joining me live as well today. Adios.